Oh god, shoot me now. You know something? I really feel bad for Family Guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do really enjoy the show, at least the first few seasons of it, but it's one of those shows that has gone so far downhill and lost every bit of sense of what made it great that you can just feel how lost and confused the staff behind the show is now. And that's shown loud and clear in this episode. Stewie is... what is that? Enceinte? Enceinte? How do you pronounce this word?
Enceinte.
Lovely. Well...
Enceinte.
Huh? Wait, which is it?
Enceinte.
Okay, now I think you're just being a smartass.
Enceinte.
I swear to God, no word should have this many pronunciations.
Enceinte.
Fuck you! I'm going with Enceinte. God damn, only Family Guy could have the title of one of their episodes giving me problems. Anyway, in my top 10 worst Family Guy episodes list, I acknowledged I hadn't yet seen seasons 13 and 14, and I still haven't. But the two episodes I've gotten the most requests to review are Brian the Closer and Stewie is Enceinte. And one great thing about Family Guy is you don't have to watch the episodes in linear order to get what's going on in an episode. So, let's take a look at this episode and let me show you why I'm not surprised this episode was so requested. This episode opens with Stewie wanting to hang out with Brian, but Brian tells him that he already has plans.
I can't. I got plans. I'll see you later.
Sure, maybe another time.
Stewie points out that Brian has been very distant lately and wants to do something to save their friendship. Well, already there's quite a few ways that can go. Stewie can sit Brian down and have a face-to-face discussion about their friendship and see if anything's bothering Brian. He can do a bunch of things to get Brian's attention. Actually, it's Family Guy. They're clearly going to go with the cliched, Stewie's going to stalk Brian and there'll be a bunch of misunderstandings, and...
That's how Brian and I are going to improve our relationship. We're going to have a baby.
What?
That's how Brian and I are going to improve our relationship. We're going to have a baby.
I'm sorry. What?
We're going to have a baby.
I'm in the wrong review. I'm reviewing the wrong adult show. How'd I get back to Stimpy's pregnant? I vowed never to watch that damn episode again. Okay, well, truth be told, I wouldn't have expected that. But, seriously, that's what they landed on? Well, much to my incredibly increasing horror, Stewie creates a machine that will make him pregnant with his and Brian's child. And should I be questioning how this is possible right now? Like, are they just gonna go the route of it's a cartoon, deal with it? Which, if they are, fine, I won't question it. Or are they actually gonna make a scientific reason behind this?
Simple. I took your DNA and inserted it into my temporary uterus through my fertilization device.
Temporary uterus. Okay, so it's scientific reasoning. Therefore, it's just a cartoon, can't fly with any flaws that are sure to come later. Hey, Family Guy had an opportunity to explain it away with it's just a cartoon, and they chose not to take it. Don't get pissed at me. Okay, so, I'm pretty skeeved right now, so I'm just gonna talk about the secondary plot, which starts off with...
Some sad news this morning as 38 school children drowned when when their school bus hit a patch of ice and drove off what is wrong with me today?
Wow. That joke is so lazy and so boring, it actually acknowledges it's lazy and boring. I wonder if it can get any lazier.
Is that it? Is he going to do it again? No? Okay, so just normal penguin stuff now. Okay, cut back to me. But you can't? The button broke off?
Why, yes! Yes, it can! Actually, this video ends up setting up the subplot because it focuses on Peter and his friends deciding to create a viral video. Well, that actually doesn't sound too bad. I mean, that can lead to some decent humor. They could probably even get a few good jokes out of this.
What is a penguin? Is it some kind of bug?
What? You serious?
So it is a bug?
Did someone write this when they were running off 36 hours of no sleep? That's the laziest attempt for a joke I've ever seen. Actually, I don't even think this qualifies as a joke, yet it's set up like a joke. It's actually kind of baffling. I think this could actually be something they debate for a debate club. Now, while I don't want to cut back to the Stewie is pregnant plot, I don't really have a choice, because the plot of Peter and his friends making viral videos is so bland. It's one of the most boring side plots ever. Nothing happens whenever they cut to that plot. They only focus on it for a matter of seconds. In fact, the longest amount of time they focus on this plot is about 1 minute. And it only makes up about 3 to 4 minutes total of this episode's runtime, while the other 19 focus on Stewie's pregnancy and cutaway jokes. It's by far one of the most unfocused subplots I've ever seen, and it's got the most predictable jokes ever. For example,
and I worked really hard on taking a picture of myself every day for a year and then setting the photos to an emotional song. Look.
Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City? I'm 1,000 miles away.
Something's gonna pop up. Something's gonna pop up. Something's gonna pop up. Boom! The only purpose this plot serves is to say viral videos happen by accident. Something everyone and their grandmother already knows anyway. So, yeah, as much as I'd love to avoid talking about Stewie and Brian having babies, unfortunately, in this case, I don't have a choice. Stewie breaks the news to Brian, who, of course, doesn't take it well.
Oh my God, you're serious! People are gonna think I had sex with a male baby and then got him pregnant! Oh, thank you for finding a way to make it sound horrible.
Yeah, y'all know how I feel about Brian, but that's just a fucked up move by Stewie. And you know what? Brian really isn't taking this as hard as I thought he would. Up, there it is. Brian's trying to force a miscarriage. How charming. So Stewie goes to see the doctor, and at least at this point, I know this doctor is an idiot, so I actually buy that he wouldn't be able to see anything wrong about this.
That's odd. Your vagina seems to have a penis and 2 testicles.
Hey, you know what's even more odd? That Stewie was smart enough to give himself a temporary uterus, but wasn't smart enough to give himself a temporary vagina. He thought of a place to store the baby, but didn't think of a place for the baby to come out. Like I said, if they're gonna use scientific reasonings for Stewie's pregnancy, they could have at least made him smart enough to consider that. Or, like I stated earlier, they could have just explained this pregnancy away with Brian asking Stewie how he can be pregnant, and Stewie simply saying, "It's animation, bitch, get used to it." Would that have been a lazy explanation? Well, yes, and it would have fit the theme this episode's clearly going for perfectly. But in all fairness, you can tell they didn't really care too much about how logical this pregnancy was. No. They were more focused on the raunchy humor they could get from something like this, and on how many times they could use the same joke over and over again.
We could even use my old crib.
You use your old crib. I mean, what kind of feet can fit into these shoes? Your feet.
Ooh. Is it dead?
Now, Brian, did you have any questions for the doctor?
Yeah. Are there a lot of stairs in this building?
People are gonna think I had sex with a male baby and then got him pregnant.
Oh, thank you for finding a way to make it sound horrible. Any other ice cream makes me want to puke. Isn't that weird?
Yes, Stewie, that's the one weird thing in all this.
And then, the worst of this episode comes. Stewie goes into labor in a very raunchy way. And while driving Stewie to the hospital, Stewie realizes he needs to give birth right there at that moment. And let me just say this. I thank Family Guy for not showing what's happening in the car, because what's being described is horrifying. Prepare yourself for this.
Hey, careful, don't get anything on the
Ooh!
seats. I think it's coming out of my mouth.
Oh, that's not pretty.
There's more. They're coming out of everywhere. Ow!
For God's sake, Stewie, you should have given yourself a temporary vagina!
I don't know. Brian, save the placenta.
Well, Stewie gives birth to 8 babies that look even more repulsive than I myself could have imagined. And it turns out these babies are riddled with health issues. Jeez, isn't that shocking?
We are going to be spending a fortune on schools.
How are we going to pay for that?
Well, you tell me.
You're the one who insisted I be a stay-at-home mom. I don't even have a job.
Well, you better get one. And not writing. A real job.
Yeah, half of them die too, and they're very nonchalant about it. Finally, Stewie tells Brian how he wanted to have his babies because Brian had been so distant lately and Stewie was afraid of them drifting apart. And it turns out that Stewie's fear was nothing more than... wait for it... a misunderstanding! Yeah, which was the cliched conclusion I stated earlier they were gonna do. So Stewie and Brian admit they don't want their babies anymore and they give them to an animal shelter. Which, I gotta admit, I'm kinda shocked Family Guy was so toned down with this. I honestly figured they'd get rid of their babies by shotgun blasting all of them, and then Stewie asks Brian if he wants to catch a movie. In fact, I'm so relieved they didn't go overboard with this like they did the rest of this plot, that I kind of forgive them for ending this episode very abruptly with yet another terrible cutaway joke.
I'm still keeping all the gifts from the baby shower.
You had a baby shower?
Oh! Now this makes it real! Oh!
Overall, this episode is... something else. It's certainly unlike anything I've ever seen before. Alright, I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually stunned this wasn't a lot worse. Now, while I get why a lot of people don't like this episode, and yeah, there were certainly a lot of unappealing scenes in this episode, not to mention a lot of the humor is just straight up lazy and underdeveloped, this seems like it could have been a lot more offensive. For one, it kind of felt like Family Guy was trying to discuss couples that have babies to save relationships. I mean, hell, even Stewie hints they were going to tackle that subject.
Having a baby seems to have made them closer. Babies save relationships.
And if that was their intent, then it goes without saying, they failed miserably, because all they did was portray people who do this as dysfunctional monsters, which is only true in extremely rare cases. But as far as my knowledge goes, they didn't take this idea seriously, nor did they claim they were trying to take it seriously. Not like Quagmire's dad, for example, where even Seth MacFarlane himself said it was supposed to be a sympathetic episode. This, I think, was nothing more than just a poor attempt at raunchy humor. But even at that, the raunchy humor isn't as over the top as it could have been. I mean, it's probably the raunchiest Family Guy's ever gotten, but it's the type of raunchy humor you'd expect from an episode where Stewie gets pregnant. Truthfully, I expected to leave this episode feeling angry or disgusted or even both. But instead, I just left feeling underwhelmed and kind of bored. And considering how bad Family Guy's episodes have gotten, especially their episodes from just one season earlier, I'll kind of take being bored over being pissed off any day from Family Guy. Would I ever see this episode again? Hell no. Would I consider it a top 10 worst Family Guy episode? Maybe not top 10, but certainly top 15. But it was kind of a relief to leave this episode without feeling the need to smash the television.
Oh my God.
So, we didn't have to do any of this.
I guess not.
Well guys, thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was actually really fun to do a negative review again, and I thank you guys for requesting this episode for me to review. And to end this video, it's time for fan art of the video. This video's fan art comes from Ali Repsa, real name Aliana Repsa, and I apologize if I mispronounced that, who drew this pretty awesome picture. I look kinda like a character from a Nintendo game, which is just awesome. The background's perfect and that stare is phenomenal. Thanks for the fan art, Ali Repsa, and thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next review.